Hello, let's do the New York Times Medium Sudoku for April 16th, 2024. I'm going to take a very systematic approach to this solve as a teaching tool. That's what I'm going to be doing on all my Medium solves. So if you see something, I may have also seen it, but I am purposefully doing this in a systematic way to show how to, it's kind of like doing scales on piano, right? You're practicing looking for very specific things. So I hope this is helpful. There is a link in the description if you want to try it yourself or follow along. It uses the same Sudoku pad software, and I'm going to get started right now. So the first pass we're going to do is we're going to go through bands. A band is a row of 3 boxes, and then we're going to go through each stack. A stack is a column of 3 boxes. And all we're going to look for on our first pass is when we have 2 of the same digit, in this case in the band. So we have 2 ones in this band. So what I'm going to do is the box that they aren't in, I'm going to look at the consequence of where that leaves that digit, and I'm going to use the corner mark mode to corner mark where that digit can still be in the box. And it's always either going to be 2 or 3 places, or we're going to find that it's 1 place and we can place the digit. But for corner marks, it's going to be 2 or 3 places that are all in a row or all in a column for this first pass. So we got the ones. There's nobody for 8, 9. There's nobody for the 2. So we can just move on. So here, because this box is almost empty, we're going to start here. We're going to look for a 2, no 2 on either side. And so now we're going to pick one of them. We're going to look for 4, 5, 6, 9. So of 4, 5, 6, 9, 5 is the only buddy. So we look at these 5s, mark those 5s, and then we move on. So 4 and 9. I don't see a buddy for 4, but there is a buddy for 9. Now there's only 1 place in this box for 9, so we're going to place it. Now, when we place a digit, what we want to do is we want to at least look at how it affects things that we've already scanned. And in this case, because we've only scanned horizontally, the only thing it could affect is this band here of what we scanned so far, so we don't need to follow up on it yet. So we got the duplicate 9s. No duplicate 4. Is there a duplicate 3, 5, or 8? Yes, there's a duplicate 8. And then we look up here to see if there's any other 8s, and then we just put the 8s in one of these 2. All right, I think that's it for the bands. So now we're going to look at stacks. So same thing, we're going to look for buddies. 2 1s look down. Puts a 1 in one of these 2. 8 and 9, we have the 2 9s. We have this 9 over here. It doesn't actually help, but might as well note it. There's 9, one of those 2. So we have the 1, 8, 9. We want to look for 4s as well. No buddy 4s. Okay. Here we've got I'm noticing the 2, so we may as well do that. We have the 2s as buddies, and actually this 2 looks in, and that means there's only 1 place for 2 in this box. That's a hidden single 2. So we got the buddy 2. Any buddies for 1, 4, or 7? No. Okay, so that's all the buddies there. Because we just have to compare each box to each other box. So we pick one box, like this 2, because it's got the least givens. We compare it to the other 2 boxes. And then we just have to compare those 2 boxes against each other. Easy peasy. There's only 3 comparisons. So this 2 here, no buddies. 3, 5, 8, 9. We do have this place 9 here that has a buddy, and this 9, this 9 looks in. So we get this U shape here. 9's in one of these 2. 3, 5, or 8. The 5 does have a buddy. It's in one of these 3. And that's it. So that's our first pass. Now we're going to go box by box, and we're going to look for specific things. Actually, we're going to look for one thing. The one thing we're going to look for when we go box by box is crossings. So you're going to look at every situation where we have 2 givens that share a column or share a row. So let's look at this 1, 8 first. Because these share a column, there's going to be a row that kind of cuts through, right? This row here. So the one we're interested in is any given, any digit that we know about in that row that isn't already in the box. So this 4 is the only one that we care about. So we look at how this 4 looks in. Then we look for a buddy 4 down here. This one doesn't help. We're looking for one that's not in the same column as what our crossing was, which was this 1, 8. There's no 4 down here. So unfortunately, it doesn't help. So 4 can be one of these 3. That's not useful. And now we're going to look at this 9, 8. The 7 is not placed, and we actually do have a buddy here. So this 9, 8, this 7, because we're looking at this column here, because there's one column they aren't in. The 7 punches through. And then we look over here for a buddy 7. We do have a buddy 7. That's going to put a 7 in one of these 2. Now, when you find a crossing, it's always going to be down to 1 or 2 cells. If it's down to 1 cell, you place the digit. If it's down to 2 cells, always look for pointing. It's always going to do some form of pointing, unless you already have both of that digit in the other 2 boxes. So this is going to point. Now, what is pointing? The reason it's called pointing is you can kind of draw a line between these two 7s, and you can kind of like draw an arrow maybe and point at the rest of the row and say no more 7s. And the reason for that is this box needs a 7, and we've limited the 7 in this box to just these 2 cells. It's either going to be here or it's going to be here. Those are literally our only 2 options. There is not a third option. There's not a third option of it being both. There's not a third option of it being in neither. It's going to be either here or here. In both of those cases, it's in row 2. Row 2 only gets a single 7, so we can't possibly put another 7 in row 2. So importantly, we already have a 7 here. So we're going to look at the box. We're going to look at the box that doesn't have a 7 in it yet and see that this 7 looks in, these 7s point in, and that leaves 7 to be down here somewhere. And the important thing is that these corner marks are trying to remind us that these are not 7 anymore. So don't try to put a 7 in there. Okay, so that was a crossing on this 8, 9. There's not another one. Let's look at this 1, 2. Unfortunately, we only have a 1 and 2 up here. 7, 4. We've got 8 and 9 both as candidates. The 8, unfortunately, is in the same column as our 4, 7, so it doesn't help. But the 9 does cross in. And you can see that that puts only one place for 9 in this whole box, because we had this, this 1 occupied by chance. So the 9 goes there. And now what we've done is we've seen that this removes one of our 9 quarter marks in this box. So we want to look at how many 9 quarter marks are left in the box. There's only 1 left. So we can place this as a 9. Now when we do that, we're noting that there was a 5 corner mark in there that's no longer possible. So we want to look at where 5 can now go in the box, and it is still 2 places. So we can't place that yet. But it's still handy to know. We got some digits. So we also want to follow up on things that we've already scanned. So we already did that first pass on scanning of looking for duplicates, but now this 2 or these 9s might have duplicates. So let's start with the 2. We placed that 2 a while ago. It's the 9 that we placed. So it joins this 9 and this 9, and we have a 9 in one of these 2. So we're just going to note what we find, and then now we have all 3 9s here, so that's not going to be helpful. Okay, so now there could be a crossing now using this 9. For example, on this 7, 9, there isn't, unfortunately, or this 9, 1, but we do want to look for follow-up crossings if we can. Actually, we don't even need a crossing for this, but I noticed that this 8 looks in, and because this is so full, we don't actually need another 8. Or if you prefer, you could say it's a crossing on this 1, 9, this 8 looking in, this 8 looking in, but really, this was already filled. So this 8 on its own puts an 8 in one of these 2. That also points, they point down saying no more 8s. So the 8s all look in like this, and that puts an 8 in one of these 3. Okay, just give me one moment. I need another cough drop. I have this dry cough. Because I always get one for like 3 months after I get over a cold. Very unfortunate. So we're interested in anything that looks in from here or from here, but unfortunately there's nothing else of note. So we're going to move on. There's no opportunity for crossings here because the 2 and the 9 don't share a row or a column with each other. If you do hit this situation, you may as well look at the row and column they aren't in. This single row, this single column, and look for buddies that aren't already in the box. There aren't any, but if there were, they'd be limited to these 2, and that can also still be helpful. It's kind of like a less powerful crossing. All right, so we're going to look over here now. We're just going box by box. So 5, 1 could have a crossing. We've got this 9 as an option. Actually, we already found it. So we have the 9 already. 5 is not useful. We've got the 1 and the 7 here. So the 4 would be a candidate for a crossing, and it does. So this 4 looks in, this 4 looks in. So 4 is in one of these 2. Again, we're always going to look at how that points into the box that none of the 4s were in. And that is going to put a 4 in one of these 2. We're getting kind of crowded with corner marks here. We'll take advantage of that later. We're doing one thing at a time. It's like doing scales, right? We're going to focus on one thing at a time. I am noticing this 2 looking in because we have this sort of offset that I was looking at, but there's no 2 over here. If there was, it would be quite useful, but there's not. All right, there's no opportunity for crossings when you just have a single given, so we're going to skip that box. Here, this 4 and 5 could have a crossing on the 7 or 1. There is not, though. No 7s or 1s up here, down there. Those are the only 2 that share. Oh, no, the 9 and the 5 do share. No crossing on the 8, unfortunately. There's no 8s over here. We can also look for pointing 8s in, but there aren't any, right? And that's it. Maybe something with this 4, 6. There's already a 5 in the box. Something with the 6, 5. Unfortunately, I don't see anything. Yeah, okay. I think that's it. This 9, 4, there might be a crossing on it, 5 or 1. The 5 does look down, this 5 looks in, so we get a 5 in one of these two. That's going to point in along with this 5, placing the 5 in this box. That removes this 5 corner mark. There are still 2 places for 5 in this box. But we do want to just double check our vertical scan and our horizontal scan. Well, the horizontal, we got it from the horizontal, so we want to double check our vertical scan. But there is still no buddy 5. Oh, but this 5 does look up into this box, and it literally places the 5 in this box. Now, we're going to follow up with a bunch of stuff, so we need to sort of remember to backtrack here. But this box here, it removes this corner mark 5. And so now there's only one place for 5 in the box, so we can place it. I'm literally going to color this to say I need to go back to that because I don't want to stop on this one yet. So this one also removes this corner mark 5. Now look what happens when I place this corner mark 5. It displaces a 4 and an 8. So we want to double check our 4 and 8 corner marks. We do get the 4 placed, but the 8 and 9 still have 2 places left. Now, I am going to go back to that 5, but that's placing this 4 does allow us to re-vertical scan the 4s and corner mark 4s down here. There's a few other things that happened here, but I don't want to do too much at once right now. And then we also want to horizontal scan the 4s, but we already have these 4s marked, so that doesn't help. Okay, now we're going to go back to what I marked green here. This 5 here, we want to horizontal scan the 5. So the 5 ends up in one of these two. I think that's it, actually. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I followed up on it. Vertically, we already have all 5, or all 3 5s. All 5 5s? No, all 3 5s. All right, so that was doing... What box were we on? I think we were on this box. No, we found the crossing on this 9-4. That was a crossing on these 5s. We got all of that from that. So there's no more crossing potential on this box. So now we'll look at this box. This 8 and 2 stands out to me, but there's nothing in the row, so no dice there. We could have a crossing on any of these. How about the 5-9? We already have 5, 8, and 9 in the box, so it's not helpful. 5 and 6. Okay, we do need a 7. So here's what I'm seeing, right? There's no opportunity here to match a crossing from above, so we can pretty much skip this if we're looking for crossings on these. Okay, now this box, we do have the 3-9. Again, let's look for opportunities on what could cross, because I feel like there's not much here. Just the 4. So I'm going to look at this 4 and this 4, and I'm going to see we do end up... Oh, that is actually helpful. That you can think of that as a crossing on this 5-8, right? This 4 looks down, this 4 looks in. So there's a 4 in one of these two cells. And that's going to point and remove this as being a 4, so we can place this 4. Very nice. We can see how that affects the horizontal and the vertical, but it doesn't seem to very much. Okay. Any other crossing potentials here? 6s, actually. So this 5-9, this 6 crosses in, this 6 crosses in. So we get a 6 in one of these two cells. That is going to point into here along with this 6, putting a 6 down here somewhere. Nice. And I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that might be it. The 2s don't do anything. Okay. So that was our second pass. Now our third pass, we're going to look for what I call geometry. So we're going to look at all the givens in the box as a whole, and we're going to see like how that affects certain rows and columns. And this can be very fruitful, but it can also be pretty useless. So it really depends on what you find. But for example, this 1, 8, and 9, they avoid this row entirely. So we want to think about what of 1, 8, 9 does this row still need? And the answer is only 8, unfortunately. So what we do is we just take a quick glance at where 8 goes in that row, and we see, okay, well, there's 3 places for 8, so not helpful. Also, 1, 8, 9 is avoiding this column. So we want to think about what the column needs. It needs a 1 and an 8. So where does 1 go? We have that marked. Where does 8 go? Any of these 3. So not helpful. This box, we do have the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, right? So the 2 we already have in the column, the 4 we already have in this column, the 5 we have, the 9 we have, but we do need 1 and 7 in this column. And you can see that there's only 2 cells left for that. Now you probably would have found this in a typical solve by just filling this triple, because this is going to be a triple, a naked triple, which does leave 2 values left here, but it is the 1, 7. So we can find it this way if we want to. So this column needs a 1 and a 7, and there are only 2 cells left that can be 1 or 7. So those 2 cells are 1, 7, and nothing else. That's kind of the point. Now, is there something like this 1, 4, 2, 5? So 4 in this row. So I'm thinking about this row here. Now it's going to need a 1, 2, 4, 5. It already has the 1, 2, and 5, but it needs a 4. But there's nothing special about 4 being limited. We can think about this row and how it needs 1, 4, 7, 9. And at some point, you just start using your instinct on what might be helpful and what might not be. 4 is almost there, right? This can't, I mean, well, I guess we already know these can't be 4, but yeah, if this couldn't be 4, we'd be pretty happy right now, but unfortunately it can be. And then we can look at this row here, the 2, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so something I missed is these 2s. I didn't follow up on the 2s looking in here a while ago. So 2 does go in one of these 3. So it does help you catch some things that you might not have paid attention to. All right, that's all we're going to get there. 2, 5, and 9. We do need a 2 in this column, but that's not very helpful. In this row, we already have 2, 5, 9. All right, we're just going to go box by box, and we're going to look for this. 1, 3, 5, 7. So 1, 5, and 7 we might consider in this column, specifically the 5 and the 7, but no go there. I'm going to stop pointing out all of these. I'm just going to kind of scan it myself at this point and tell you if I see anything interesting. I'm looking at this 2, 4, 5, so we need 2 and 4. Okay, here 5, 6, 9, 6, 9. All right, yeah, I'm not seeing much of note here. If I did do it systematically in front of you, I probably would find more, to be honest, but I think we're kind of out of things to find, and I think there's some other things we want to focus on at this point in the puzzle. But I do want to just sort of finish this for the sake of being systematic. Okay, I am seeing this 6, right? The 6 is needed in this column, right? It's not here. But you can also see how it affects the box. So 6 ends up in one of these 2, which we can mark. So it's just an opportunity as like a last chance find obvious stuff before you start looking at more subtle stuff. 3, 5, 8, 9. We do need 3, 5, and 8 over here. We have the 5 and 8 marked. The 3 doesn't seem limited. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the state of things. So that is our 3-tiered scan across rows, columns, across boxes, right? First we did bands and stacks looking for duplicates. Then we went box by box looking for crossings. Then we went box by box looking for geometry. Now, in my own solves, I combine all 3 of those things into one pass. So like as I'm looking for duplicates, I'm also looking for crossings, and I'm also looking for geometry. But I figured for the mediums, I'd split that up. All right, so now we've seeded the puzzle with a bunch of really interesting information. The next thing we want to do is look for what I call restricted cells. I would consider a cell restricted if it has 3 or fewer possible values left, like these 1, 7s, right? These cells can only be 1 or 7. We use center marks to denote that. So the best place to look for restricted cells is rows, columns, or boxes that have 4 or fewer open cells, and the fewer the better. So we're going to try to look at them in order of how many they have remaining. So this box has 3 remaining. I would have filled this triple a long time ago if we weren't being systematic, but this is down to 3, 6, 8, and that's not an 8. So good to just have that marked. We also have this box, and I know there's going to be pointing in this box because this is only 1, 7. So whatever else is missing is going to point, which might be helpful. So we've got the 1, 3, and 7. This one's not 1, this one's not 7 because of the 1s and 7s there. And the 3s are pointing here. So these 3s point in, this 3 looks in, this 3 looks down, and that puts a 3 in one of these 2 cells. Now I'm trying to pay attention to how my corner marks are overlapping, but I haven't found any useful overlaps yet. All right. So 1, 3, 7. This column is down to 4 open cells. I'm not going to automatically pencil it, but I will pencil any cell that is down to 3 or fewer. So first we think about what the column needs. It needs 1, 6, 7, 8. So we know this one's not 1 or 7 because we have the corner marks here telling us there's not 1 or 7. So this is only 6, 8. This is also not 1, 7, so it's 6, 8. It's actually not 1, 6, or 7, so it's only 8. This is a naked single 8. That makes this a 6. We do want to try to follow up on these. We get the 6 and the 4 in this box, and then we're left with a 1, 7 pair here. Okay. Now I'm noticing with this 1, 7, it actually forms a 1, 3, 7 triple in this row. This is what's called a naked triple. Just to explain how that works. because I think some people might not recognize this as a triple if they are used to recognizing it as a pattern of if this was 137, 137, and 137. But the first thing to think about is, why would eliminating a digit make a technique less powerful? If you think about it that way, the answer is eliminating a digit can never make a technique less powerful or suddenly invalid. If this is a 137 triple like this, it's still a 137 triple if I remove this 1. It's still a 137 triple if I remove this 7. And it's still a 137 triple if I remove this 3. The way to think about it is these cells have been reduced to 1, 7, 1, 3, and 3, 7. Between the 3 cells, there are only 3 unique digits, 1, 3, and 7. We need to fill each of these cells with a different digit because they share a row. So what 3 different digits am I going to put in these 3 cells? And the answer is I can only put 1, 3, 7. I don't know exactly what order they're going to go in, but I do know that they're going to go in these 3 cells. So if 1, 3, 7 appears somewhere in these cells, they cannot appear in these cells also. Just to demonstrate that a little further, if I try to put a 1 right here, which I have a corner marked, if I try to put a 1 right there, look what happens. This becomes a naked single 3. This becomes a naked single 7 just from the 1. And now what am I putting here? It can't be a 1. It can't be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So there's literally no digit it's allowed to be, and I have broken the puzzle. So I cannot put any 137s over here. So this cannot be a 1. That removes one of my 1 corner marks and places this. And I'm noting the 3 and the 6 got displaced. Now there's only one place for 3 in the box, so I'm placing the 3. Now there's only one place for 6, so I'm placing the 6. This 1 does give us this 7. It resolves this whole box, and it resolves this whole column. Very nice. This 7 also looks up resolving this cell as a 1. Now we've got a lot to follow up on, but what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to be looking at the super restricted rows, columns, boxes. Like here, this is a pair. This is a 1, 2 pair, so I'm just going to fill that. And now for this row, we know the 1, 2's over here. This is a naked pair. So really there's a hidden single in this row, and it's a 7. Where does 7 go in this row? Only this cell. Now we know this is down to a triple. Actually, let's follow up on that 7 first. It looks up here. It places this 7. That displaces a 2 and a 5, placing the 2 and the 5. That places the 5 in this box. So now we don't need a triple. Now we need a pair. Looks like it's 2, 8. This 2 tells us the order. This is 8. This is 2. Very nice. I feel like we've cracked the puzzle at this point. It's just a matter of plonking all the digits. And the order that I tend to look is rows, columns, boxes that are most restricted. So this box is now down to 3. You could rescan if you want, but I feel like that might take longer than just plonking digits. So this box needs 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, 6. I am actually a little surprised that I can't find anything, so I'm just going to fill 3, 4, 6 here. I guess there's this 3. Okay. In fact, this column was down to 2 digits. It's down to 4, 6 only. We know the 3's in one of these two, so we can corner mark that. Not super necessary at this point, but might as well. All right, what's the next low-hanging fruit here? Maybe this column. It's down to 3, 4, 6, 8. So we know the 8's in one of these two. This one's not 4, so this is 3. Oh, it's not 3 either. None of these are 3s. So this is actually 4, 6, 8. This one's not 4. So it's down to 6, 8. And this is down to 4, 6, 8. This is a 4, 6, 8 triple in the box. A naked triple in the box removes 4, 6, and 8 from the rest of the box. But we already kind of knew that. So what are these two? These are 2 and 9. So we know the order. This is 9. This is 2. That removes this corner mark 9. There's only one place for 9 left. This row is literally finished. We just have to find the last digit. So 3. Okay, this box is down to 3 digits. Always just looking at the one with fewest. We need 1, 2, and 7 here. So I'm noticing this 1 looks in. I didn't notice this 2 looked in, or I would have placed it. So we can place this 2. It gives us the 1 and 2. Gives us the 7 and 1. Gives us the 7 in this box. And at this point, it's just smooth sailing. This is 3. This is this is a 3 for the column. Gives us the rest of this row. Gives us the rest of this box. Gives us the rest of this box. Doot in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. Thank you, REM. That's 4. All right. These are not 8s. These are 4 and 8. So that's a 4. That's an 8. These are 3 and 6. So this is the 6 and the 3. And we're left with, over here, the 8 and the 6, the 8, and then a 7, and we're done. All right. Took my time, obviously. We are not going for time here. We are going for systematic practice of the things we look for when solving puzzles. All right, and so hopefully that'll help internalize how these work. I'm intending these to basically be graduated from, but hopefully they're helpful. And sometimes people do get stuck, even people who do the hard regularly will sometimes say the medium is harder. So hopefully this will help you find whatever you were missing. So yeah, any feedback I am very happy to have in the comments, especially if it's kind. So if you enjoyed this, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.